my home, and we are pleased to welcome you, as we have many times in the past, to come and participate with the Milwaukie Poetry Society here at St. John's. We have a sign-up sheet sitting back on the table by the cookies for anybody who wants to be an open mic reader. So, welcome and thank you for coming, because we really enjoy the people. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gail. And it's been a wonderful mutual relationship ever since we started this. It's been going 12 years, too. So I would also like to welcome those of you who have logged in and are online. I heard the word from the technical table, the recording is on. So the recording is on. And again, if when you're talking on the mic, try to speak up, because we'd like to get as good a recording as we can for the video. It will be posted on the Living Library YouTube website. Takes about a week to get some editing done and get it up there, but that is our plan. So I want to say a little bit about the format for tonight, but before I do that, I want to mention some other events that are coming on for the Milwaukie Poetry Series. As some of you know, we sponsor a reading. That's what we started with. We're doing that on the second Wednesday of the month, September through July. So we take August off for that. We don't take August off for this. We take August off for that. And we will be starting our 18th season in September, which I believe is the 11th. We will have a flyer out, and the flyer will look somewhat like this. So this is the flyer for this last year. It'll be a different color, of course, have different poets. But there'll be something like this, we hope, out around the 1st to the 10th of August. In addition to that, we do sponsor a First Friday reading, and our First Friday reading is going to be in August, the 2nd of August. And so we have some poets who will be featured poets for that reading. We'll have an invitation out about that. We have something very special tonight. And we have a Clackamas County Literary Arts, Clackamas County Arts Alliance. And one of the committees of the Arts Alliance is the Literary Committee. And the chair of the Literary Committee is here tonight. And we decided 2 years ago, we'd sponsor a writing contest. And so we are here tonight to celebrate some of the winners in some of the categories and have them be involved in reading their winning entry. So we'll get to that in a minute. The eliminator is Bob Sterry for a few words about the contest. And Bob is also the president of the OPA. So he may want to say a few words about the Oregon Poetry Association. So Bob Sterry.
Thank you, Tom. And yes, for reasons which defy any thermodynamic logic or whatever you'd like to think about it, I did become the chairperson of the Literary Arts Committee of the Clackamas County Arts Alliance, which I challenge you to say if you've had 2 beers, which I haven't, but I will later. And also, for similar reasons, I became the president of the Oregon Poetry Association, which is a lot easier to say. It was, as Tom said, about two and a half years ago, that a cynical chairperson of the Clackamas County Arts Alliance created several committees. And one of them was the Literary Arts Committee. And for no fault of my own, I became chairperson because nobody else wanted to, which is typical of volunteer organizations, as I'm sure you all know. We ran a contest 2022-23, and we have just finished running second of our contest, and it was It was really well subscribed. We had some great entries, and it was a great pleasure to award prizes to some of the winners. Also, and I find this rather difficult because being involved in two committees, sometimes, my mind is bifurcated. And then the two blend over and it's kind of confusing. So I will say something about the Oregon Poetry Association, and the adult poetry contest is now open. And if you go to our website, oregonpoets.org, you can enter your work there. But more important than that, even more important than that, is our annual conference, which is in October 4th and 5th at Agate Beach Best Western Hotel in Newport. And we have some wonderful keynote speakers lined up and a lot of workshops. The leader of one who is here tonight, Theo Lansari, I see you back there. So I think that's about all I need to say, except to thank Tom for all his work. Did I miss anything, Tom?
No, I don't think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Then I'll
We
get
have
that.
people to join the OPA.
Please join. Okay, let's do this. How many members of the OPA are here tonight? Hands up.
I'm about to join.
Good, good. Well, this is pretty disgraceful. I mean, look at you all. You're all probably poets. You like to read poetry, and you're not members. I'm shocked. I will leave it with that.
Let's give Bob a hand for. All of the work and energy and investment that he brought to the committee. And to having the contest. I want to underline what Gail said earlier. We do have a sign-up sheet for the open mic. And there'll be just a little bit of break between the featured readers and the open mic, but if you would like to read a poem, please sign up. So how we're going to proceed is that we have 3 readers here tonight. One of them is a winner in 2 different categories. So we're going to start with Megan Jones, and Megan is going to read in poetry. And Karina Cooper is going to read in, what's the first?
Short story.
You're going to read in short story first. Okay, she will read in short story first. Then Joan Freed is going to read Leslie Hayard's playlet. And then Karina is going to read her playlet. So all total it will be about 40 minutes. Each person has got 10 minutes to read. And I've been looking forward to this a lot. So let me tell you a little bit about Megan Jones. She lives in Oak Grove with her wife and 3 pets. She is lucky to have her dream job teaching math, social studies, and poetry at an alternative high school in Oregon City. Meg couldn't stand the poetry she had to read in school. But after graduating, she discovered modern work and realized she likes poetry after all. Meg's work has appeared in a variety of print and online journals, and she is currently working on her first full-length manuscript. Would you join me in welcoming our first poet this evening, Megan Jones? Thank you.
Let me know if I need to speak up for the recording or anything. Good? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you all for coming tonight. I think I should have time to read 3. I'll read the one that I submitted to the contest last, and I'll do a couple ones that are very recent that I actually wrote with my students in my poetry class. I had them after a year trained that they can actually critique my poetry, and it's okay. So this one began with a little snippet I wrote about 20 years ago, and I thought there was a seed of something good in there, but I didn't know what the heck to do with it. So I kept it around and then I gave it to them and said, help me out. So I give them most of the credit for this poem. It starts with a quote by the poet Brian Turner. I am learning how to connect with the small, dark silence within the center of all things. And the poem is entitled Some Silence is Chosen. We have been made to believe life comes with background music, so I'm listening for what I most want to hear, hope humming through my veins, our blood song beating a rhythm through your heart and calling back to mine. I strain to catch the quivering notes of you and I splitting air, but am handed the lukewarm lullaby of the everyday. A dog's bowl scraping raw across tiles, flies beating the soft melody of their bodies against the light, the hushed slide of your ring around and off my finger. Anything listened to long enough can become a shattering. How has this stillness grown to fill the space called love? The air is taut between our bodies and cannot break into song. The house hears our choking verse and holds its peace. Though we have pinned a hymn of lies, there is a chorus of mending I reach towards, and I mouth these words like an echoing spell. It's fine. Every precious thing is fine. Our sleeping choir shall wake and breathe. Will we cobble together a new refrain? We have chosen the sullen ballad many times over, but perhaps the lull between notes is the truth of the song, and this long silence can also hold love. The next one, the students also helped me with. When I threw it together, it was two totally different poems. It was going in two different directions, and they had the courage to tell me that. And now it makes sense as a poem after they were done with it. This one is called Turning. You shelter beneath a scarred oak, waiting for the rain to take a breath and the wind to hurry past you and shut sky's doors tight behind its flapping coattails. Leaf after leaf loses its gnarled grip on crooked limbs, veins still pumping life as they fall to cling to your hair and clutch at your pale wrists. You push your hands tight against each other, cupping 2 palms worth of water. It slips cold through the broken bowl you have made. The storm begins to quiet, slows to drops, slows to mist, slows to steaming earth, stops. Leaves seesaw down towards your sodden body as branches hold the fading dark open, wide as your eyes. The heavens are unstitching to a bright waking glow as you step into the rain-soaked air holding you up on all sides. You are the shape the wind and water have made moving over the land, and you are learning to love the world between breaths, to take the remains of an offering such as this, droplets beating on your skin and the sky's voice inside your chest. Okay, last one. This was the one that I submitted. It actually surprised me because I wrote this almost more than 10 years ago. And there was a long break in poetry for me while I was getting my master's in teaching, and then we had a run of foster children, and there was just no space for it. So teaching poetry has actually been fantastic because I've always told the kids in whatever class I teach, I will not make you do anything I am not willing to do. So that jump started things. This one is called Waiting the Shadows. Night groans with the weight of bodies of lies, the shadows sport. Our names sound heavier on other tongues. The day bleeds into night between my sheets, light twisting over the world of your body, a prayer of flesh, shadow stitched. Hold the words between tongue and teeth, heavy as a pebble. I love you. I love you. A promise that must be made and remade each day to be true. Tide foams up over our feet, jumbling the lies we spelled out in stones, pulling our names out to sea. Breakers exhaust themselves against rock. What is land but an answer to the waters? What is dusk but a ruddy-edged promise? What is a body but shadow, drowning in light? We are bound by promise, tonguing the structure of two into light. Between the waters and the waters, we are making a world. And it is this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Megan. And the job sounds great. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for entering the contest. Next, we're going to hear from Karina Cooper. And Karina Cooper is a non-traditional student attending art and writing courses at Clackamas Community College. Her story, Behavioral Health, won an award from the Clackamas Arts Alliance in 2024. Like her fiction, she has two sons, now adults. The youngest has autism. She collects people through stories of hope and hardship in an effort to garner understanding and empathy for others from her readers. She is driven to create more compassion in the world. Karina lives in Milwaukie with her husband and their two cats. The two cats. A lot of us can relate to that. Would you join me welcoming our next reader, Karina Cooper?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Don't forget to plug in the mic.
Is that good? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So this short story is called Behavioral Health. And the following is an excerpt from that. My sons, these brothers, are in sync today. Vincent loves it when Charlie comes with me to pick him up. They walk to the elevator together, arms over each other's shoulders. Charlie asks, "Hey, Vincent, how was your appointment today? Did Conrad let you swing on the platform swing? What's that on your shirt? Did you guys play with the shaving cream again?" Charlie wipes up the creamy substance on Vincent's shirt. Vincent laughs brightly. Charlie helps him put on his coat. They laugh together outside the clinic, and the sunshine is gleaming on their hair. We make our way to the car. The parking lot is nearly empty now. The wind blows a discarded fast food wrapper and a piece of white paper debris skittering across the asphalt. The sun dips behind a cloud. The old burgundy sedan is still there. Now there's a boy of around 7 years old on the hood, gesticulating wildly and shouting expletives at the fence and the playground and the swing sets. There's a woman in the driver's seat with the door open and 1 foot on the pavement. Clouds in the sky grow thicker, cloaking the sun, casting the afternoon in gray tones, shadowing the parking lot, the few cars, and the children playing in the playground. There is a sudden chill in the air that wasn't there when Charlie and I arrived. That reeks of chaos, I say. That's not chaos, Mom. That's probably Tourette's and autism or something. Charlie is certain. Not the child. My voice deepens with unease. The mom. I have an intense worry inside, a flame of fear flickering low and resonant. Get in the car with your brother, share the fruit chews and snacks with him, but wait to give him his juice box. I don't want him to squirt it all over in the back seat. I'll be back in a few minutes. I hand him the car keys. You can't even help yourself, can you? Charlie mutters. As I walk to the burgundy car, I sense I'm correct. Chaos rolls off this woman in dizzying waves. Her hand trembles on the car door handle. She is staring straight through the windshield at the child sitting on the hood. She does not see me. Every sense in my body is screaming to get away. Get the boys, get away. 1 step closer. Now I see her other hand, tightly gripping a silver handgun. My mind wants to explode with panic. Time slows down as I aim the trajectory of my next step to place myself in a spot she'd think impossible that I've seen the weapon. Inside this moment, between 2 steps, I observe the steely hardness and hate in her expression. I know her intent. She is going to kill them both. Her rope has ended. She reeks of chaos. It crackles around her, and he is vulnerable. I have to try helping this child. No one else is around. And I can't even help myself. Not knowing what to say, but knowing time is running out, I force a casual tone and blurt out, "Hey, do you happen to?" Her face snaps toward me, a gargoyle, which I dare not acknowledge by peering at. Her gun hand is still not visible. My breath catches in my throat, but I bring up what I hope sounds like an embarrassed laugh. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you." To avoid looking at her too closely, I throw my hand over my face in a show of airheadedness. "I should have realized you didn't hear me approach. It's just that my phone is dead and I need to know the correct time." I hold my hands up, signaling helplessness. Allowing sudden concern into my voice, I ask her, "Are you okay?" I pretend to just now notice that her child is making a scene on the hood of her car and I'm an unwanted witness. The three children playing on the swing set on the other side of the fence watch the boy for a moment, then burst out laughing. They run across the field away from the parking lot, away from this chaotic scene. I brace myself and force a measured breath into and then out of my lungs. This looks like one of those hard days. I sometimes call them dark days. Is there anything I can do to help? I make an open gesture with my arm so she can see I'm not a threat. You know, some days I'm not sure how I'd have gotten through if the right help didn't come along at just the right moment. In a further attempt to appear that I'm nothing more than a random woman chattering in the parking lot, I work hard to stare off at the rimrock that runs along the north edge of our town and let my focus become hazy. Sometimes when my son seems so unreachable to me, I just hold my hand out to him, even though I know he doesn't want to be touched when his autistic tendencies are exacerbated. And here I let my voice trail off, hoping my hesitation will spark her interest. Yeah, he doesn't like being touched at all when he's like that. I force this slow cadence, making up relaxed sounding small talk as I go, pausing between my thoughts. He has a hard time with eye contact when he's like that too. I still do it. I hold out my hand. I just let it hang in the air in front of me. I think it lets him know that if he did want to reach out of his own world, that I'd be here waiting to connect. I keep talking. The words tumble out of me, the sentences falling forth. I feel almost as if the sound of another human speaking can pull at someone lost in loneliness and despair. It doesn't matter what I'm saying, as long as it's about acceptance and love and kindness and patience. I have no idea how long I've been talking. I need her to step out of the car and go to her son. So I talk and laugh lightly about stories of devastating hardship. She just stares at the boy on her hood. Suddenly, in a serious, sharper tone, I say, "It's a wonder more people aren't dead." She looks at me now, her expression filled with the rage of being called out. I can't look into her eyes for fear of giving myself away. She holds a weapon, and my boys are too close to this chaos. They're right over there, only a few parking spots away. My heart shudders rapidly and my palms quiver. Despite my panic, I compel a tiny smile to my lips. I keep talking, outwardly calm, shifting to a gratitude message with the change in her demeanor. I feel lucky for the lovely moments, the ones you don't expect, but that show up every now and again. A chill colder than any I've felt whips through the air around me. The tranquil exterior I've manufactured vibrates with the wind. We just have to make it through the dark days, even if it means reaching out. Here, I look at her son on the hood of the car. His puffy red jacket has a cartoon of a luchador on its back. He stopped shouting expletives, but is rocking back and forth in an agitated state. Her glance follows mine. Like hanging your hand out in the air in front of you. So your son will know you'll be with him no matter what. The wind thrashes the naked branches on the trees, on the edges of the parking lot and in the playground.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Thank you for entering the contest too and sharing the story. So a lot of wonderful values. Our next reader is going to be Leslie Hayard's work. Here's Leslie here. And let's hear a little bit about her. She said Clackamas County Arts Alliance Writing Contest and others have had stage readings. And Leslie Hayard is an author of fiction and short plays. Her plays have won the production. She lives near the confluence of the Tualatin and Willamette rivers. So thank you for being here. And reading Leslie's play tonight, she's asked Joan Freed to do that. So let's hear a little about Joan. Joan is an award-winning actress hailing from Lake Oswego. She has appeared in numerous musical theater productions, including several with Lakewood Theater, Broadway Rose, and was featured in the year-long run of Menopause, the musical. Joan is the creator of several one-woman musical comedies, such as the show Chocolate Confessions, which she has performed in over 40 cities across the country. So would you join me in welcoming Joan Freed, who is going to be reading from Leslie Hayard's play. Joan.
So I need to move around a little bit, so I'm hoping I can stand here, but I'll project enough. Is that gonna work for the video, okay? As far as you know, okay, very good. All right, this is an excerpt of the play, You're Out, a play in one act by Leslie Hayard. Scene 1, a baseball field at a city park. Irene, that's me, stands at home plate. Now the tee is to baseball what training wheels are to a buck. The ball is placed on the stand at home base, and the batter hits the ball from said stand or tee. Think golf, only the tee is so high, and the ball is soft. The purpose of T-ball is to allow little girls to start playing baseball when they are still far too little to throw the ball across the plate. Now, toward the end of the season, if the girls are catching on to the game, the coach will stand halfway between the mound and the plate and pitch the ball ever so gently to the batters on his own team. My niece, Molly, over there, she has just graduated to that level. I love her to pieces. Truth be told, she's not very good. But then again, not too many second graders are. Now, instead of 9 innings, these games have only 4 innings. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but under the wrong circumstances, one innocent little T-ball game can run longer than a doubleheader. Am I sounding like a baseball fan? I'm not so much, but I am a fan of Molly. I never miss a game. But when you're sitting in the stands with a bunch of suburban parents, and you're not one of them, there's a lot of time for contemplation. Lately, I've become a connoisseur of umpires. Take this teenager, for example. Yeah, what's up? He gets bored between innings, waiting for the team to change places. This is not fit umpire material. He lacks the required gravitas. And then there is this creepy. Yeah, what do you want to have? And you, one more word out of you and you're out of here. Out and out going. But then, one soft spring evening, there was Ray. Play ball. It was love at first sight. There he stood in a pool of his own stillness, a Gary Cooper of an own navy blue polyester slacks and a matching body pad. Of course, he's not as tall as Gary Cooper, and he's a bit softer around the edges. But standing next to those second graders, he does look a little bit tall. Come on, Molly, you can do it. Oh, too bad. Good swing, Molly girl. Now, watch this. Oh, is that great or what? I have only one reservation on his style. Although the word style belittles what Ray does, because Ray is beyond style. What Ray does is like umpire zen. But my reservation, and it is minor, is that he doesn't say stride. He does he doesn't say it. What a great word. Your tongue moves from one point of articulation to the next, from the teeth to the alveolar ridge, sliding back along the palate to the bone. It's like Tai Chi for the tongue. Trust me, because I'm a school speech pathologist. Say it with me. That's it. Scene 2, ballpark. Ray and Irene stand side by side, leaning up against her car. Nice car. Okay, thanks. I went after Ray. It took a while, but one day he said those words that let me know he really cared. Better get it washed. Gonna ruin the finish. Rust out. Scene 3, Ray's apartment. Irene and Ray sit on a sofa. A baseball game plays on the television. Ray is absorbed in the game. Ray has a favorite play. In baseball, of course. What his favorite play is an out at first base. Ball leaves the pitcher's hand. The batter swings. Crack! A fielder snatches the ball low to the ground. He sings it to first. Runner and ball meet at the base, but the ball is a smidgen faster than the runner and out! Oh, great play, nice and clean. Hey, tell me about your least favorite play. Read. Please. Me and words. If you have a favorite, it stands to reason you have a least favorite. Yeah, but things are what they are without English getting in the way. Come on, tell me now, during the commercial. Okay. Thing is, baseball and life, I suppose, are about completions. You see, running the bases, you can get picked off anytime. First base, okay. But second, third, each base, you get your hopes up higher, you know. Then with 2 outs, the batter strikes out, and there you are, left hanging at third. Well, that's the worst. I hate that. In life, I'm maybe not so good at completions. I know that. But baseball, there's a beauty in crossing home plate. Yeah, beauty. Now we're skipping to scene 5. Irene's house. Irene sits next to Ray on the sofa as he watches a baseball game. Irene snuggles up to him. So what do you do when you retire? Never think about that? I have 3 more years at the school district, and I'm always thinking of living at the beach. Not here. Someplace warm and tropical. Someplace like Puerto Vallarta, maybe. Sand, palm trees, warm ocean breezes. Every evening, watching the sun dip its toe in the waves, drinking cocktails. Well, me doing the drinking, not the sun. Cocktails and coconut shells with little umbrellas. It could be very romantic. Can't see me playing umpiring a game in Timbuktu, can you? I didn't say Timbuktu. How about the Caribbean? Isn't that where all the big league ball players come from? I live here, Reenie. Always have. Whoa! Did you see that play? You're out. You're right, Ray. I am out. Out of here. You're right.
Think about that, thing, would you? Thank you so much. And now we're going to hear from Karina, our 4th featured reader, on her playlist. So please help me welcome Karina.
Hi again. That's gonna be hard to follow. I wrote this play, Flaming Memory, and it takes place in a therapist's office in the wing of a psychiatric unit in the hospital. And this is an excerpt from that. Time, present day. The stage is set to suggest a therapist's office within the psychiatric ward of a hospital. There is a large desk with an office chair, an oscillating desk fan, a patient chair, a box of Kleenex, some adult coloring books and markers, etc. There is a window toward the front of the stage. The therapist is seated, and Amanda is standing with her back to him, looking out at the courtyard. Therapist. Let's get back to the train ride to Oregon. What do you remember? Amanda. I was pretending to be older. On the train, I was pretending. Does it feel hot in here? Therapist. The wall thermometer says it's 70 degrees. I'm sure pretending to be older is not an uncommon thing for young people to do. Amanda. Maybe it's not uncommon, but I feel so stupid. Even 40 years later, I can feel the heat rise like flames across my face, especially when I remember what a foolish child I was. It's hard to think about this, to talk about it. I feel sick to my stomach. Can we stop for now? Therapist. Of course, we can stop if you need to, but I would challenge you to work through this a bit more. You were admitted to the psychiatric unit due to concerns of self-harm. It is my opinion that this has resulted from your recent triggers and nightmares. It's important to uncover as much as you're able to. Amanda. I remember remembering this shit before, about 20 years ago. When I asked my mom about it, she said I was so weird when I got off that train. Therapist. I want to come back to what your mom said about the way you acted when you got off the train, but first I want to tell you that it's not unusual to block recently recovered trauma memories. I know that some of my patients have experienced similar. These memories can easily slip right back into that vault. Tell me, were you in therapy 20 years ago when you remembered this? Amanda, no. Therapist, well, this time you are. Let's do our work. What happened on the train? Amanda, I lied. I said I was 16. 50-year-old me looking over his shoulder at the 12-year-old me before him can plainly see that she looks about 10 years old. Ha. It's too awful. I just want to stop thinking about this. Why is it so hot in here? Therapist, tell me what you remember happening on that train. Amanda, I thought he was so cute. I actually thought he was so cute. Therapist, who did you think was cute? Who are you talking about? Amanda, the police officer who got on that train sometime after I did. I'd managed to find a seat in a row that no one else was sitting in. So I had an empty seat right next to me. I put my backpack there and I got my book out. Therapist, so you remember that a police officer got on the train sometime after you found a seat in an empty row. How did you know he was a police officer? Amanda, I don't know, his uniform, I guess. Why? Are you saying he wasn't a real police officer? Therapist, I have no idea if he was a police officer or not. Is there something about your memory that leads you to the consideration that he wasn't a real police officer? Amanda, I don't know. God, I thought he was a police officer. I thought I had to let him sit next to me. I thought I had to do what he said. Therapist, you told me your mom said you were acting strangely when you arrived back at Union Station. Can you say more about that? Amanda, yeah, she said I was so weird when I got off the train. I don't even remember getting back to Portland. My cousin Julia, she's my same age, came with my mom to pick me up. I don't even remember it. Mom said I acted so strange. I had a weird laugh and stuff. Therapist, a weird laugh? Amanda, yeah, like all fake. And she said I smiled really tense and weird. She said I wasn't the same person for a couple of weeks, but she never could figure out what happened. I'm guessing she was pretty busy at work and stuff to do much in the way of figuring it out. And then I guess I must have gotten over it after a couple of weeks, so she could forget about it, right? Therapist, how does that make you feel? Amanda, did you really just ask me that? I mean, my mom did her best. I don't think it was super easy having me for a daughter. Therapist, what happened when the man sat next to you on the train? Amanda, he said I looked cold and covered me up with one of those travel blankets they have on trains. Is it hot in here? It feels so very hot in here. Therapist, what happened then? Amanda, I can't remember. Therapist, what did he look like? Amanda, I don't remember. Therapist, what did his uniform look like? Amanda, I don't know. Therapist, I want you to try something with me. Do you feel like you could do that? Amanda, what? What do you want me to do? Therapist, I want you to repeat a phrase after me and then fill in the answer with your memory as best you can. Amanda, what phrase? Therapist, if I knew what it looked like, it would look like this. Amanda, I'm supposed to say that and then fill in what I think his uniform looked like? Therapist, if you think you can try this exercise, it may help you remember what happened. That will allow you to process the events, therefore diluting some of the pain involved in your trauma. Amanda, what do you want me to say again? Therapist, If I knew what it looked like, it would look like this, Amanda. If I knew what it looked like, it would look like this. Geez, I don't know. Dark? This feels weird. Therapist, it can be strange at first. Let's give it another try. Amanda. If I knew what it looked like, it would look like this. Crisp and dark, navy blue pants, the kind with creases down the center of each leg. A short sleeve blue button-down shirt with a crisp collar and pockets on the breast with a patch on the sleeve and another above one of the pockets. The belt heavy with things clipped to it. Shoes shiny and black. A dark jacket over his arm. Blue eyes. So blue. Jesus, I can see him. Dark hair and blue eyes. Now I can see him in my mind, grinning at me and staring with those blue eyes. How do I know if any of this is real? How do I know I'm not just imagining these details? Therapist, when I got here to see you today, you told me you've been having nightmares about him and what happened to you on the train. What you've just participated in is a method to fill in those gaps so you are able to piece together the events, remember them, and then to take some control over your response to the triggers when they do happen.
Thank you very much, Karina. And thank you to the featured reader. Now we're going to move into the open mic portion. And I have the sign-up sheet here. Gail Buchanan, Teal Ansari, Lonnie Roberts, Susanna Lundgren, Bob Seri, me, and my lovely wife Jane. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. So in the first round here, we'll be reading 2 poems each. And is there anyone else that didn't get a chance to put their name on the list that would like to read? So I will probably ask you again later in the reading. So let's start. And our first poet is Gail Buchanan. And we've already heard from Gail, but when you come to read too, do you want to introduce yourself just a little bit?
Well, I actually have about 7, but they're haiku. And if you ever studied poetry, a haiku is about 17 syllables long. And it's 3 lines. And it has a twist at the end. One of my favorite ones that I ever heard that has stuck with me was from the Japanese, excuse me. But it very beautifully typifies what a haiku should be. The sky is the blue of the world's beginning. From my wife, I accept an apple. That is basically what a haiku is like. I have grouped mine into 2 different groups. The first group is called Rambling Times, going through the seasons. It is rambling time, wandering through drifting soft-scented apple blossoms. It is rambling time, hiking high mountain trails bright with alpine blooms. It is rambling time, picking through a kaleidoscope of brightly colored leaves. It is rambling time. Cold winds, sleeting ice, deep snow, south for the winter. The second group, well, the first one is not really a haiku. It's more like a, oh, I forget her name. Anyway, it's a short poem. They're all about clouds. There is an ocean and there is a sky. Where they meet, I cannot tell, for fog erases the horizon and blends the two into one. Go softly today through the greening hills and dales. Clouds nest on the ground. High, thin, wispy veils capturing the morning's light in rainbowed prisms. Furious towers piled high, tossing weapons of thunder and lightning. Sponges soaking up light, dark gray and coldly grim clouds unleash icy storms. Play-Doh in the sky, molded by wind and whimsy, squishy, puffy clouds. Big fluffy pillows, white, blue, pink, and lavender, fill the evening sky. And that is my haiku.
You?
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Bob, for kindly mentioning that I'm going to be teaching a workshop at the Oregon Poetry Association Conference in October, and I hope to see you all there. So this poem is one that I've begun to really feel in the last few weeks as it's been really hot and dry, and it's titled Incense in the Church of Rain. You remember the monsoon winds brought that smell minutes, a half hour ahead of the first raindrops. That was before you knew it had a name, petrichor. But you knew what it meant, life. Green spreading through dead grass, the pregnant swell of rivers and buried seeds. Of all rain's blessings, petrichor is first and least. We could survive without it. Oh, but how then would we learn holiness? And my second poem, like it or not, it's an election year. Here we go again. And it seems like a good time to ask ourselves, what is power? And when will power answer all our questions? And when will power meet with our demands? And what is power? Swirling of electrons or human souls that dare to take a stand? And who knows truth apart from the reflections when LEDs illuminate the land? And who can guarantee their resurrection? And who gives orders to the angel band? Does every storm destroy a piece of coastline? Does every wave fall broken on the sand? And which is stronger, earth or surf or moonshine? And what are we but driftwood on the strand? And whose are we but heavens to command? And what are we but fingers on the hand? Thank you.
Lonnie Roberts?
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Lonnie. I'm actually here as a guest of Megan Jones, who implored upon me to read this particular piece for y'all because apparently she likes it. This was originally written as an assignment for an ecology class. This is what liberal arts majors do for science classes, is write poems for them. It is a response to the question, what if I take the most idealized form in Western English literature and use it to describe a natural phenomenon that is inhuman and incoherent and kind of queer? Will it undermine the form? Will it illuminate the subject? Or maybe just mirror something about ourselves? I don't have an answer for that, but I do have a poem. This is the sonnet of the pair-bonded female North American red squirrel, an iambic pentameter sonnet sequence in corona form, which are words that I knew when I wrote them and don't now. That's not part of the poem. How perfect is my darling through softened eyes of love, though her tail be sparse and its ombre barely striped. Her paws are not so dainty as to fit in a foxglove. The tawny bloom upon them is a blossom underripe. Her fur is not so glossy that upon my face I gaze. When I bring my whiskers close, 'tis not but tatters that I brush. Yet may I brush her tattered fur as passion sets ablaze. Oh, would I go on thus for days, my racing heart aflush. An alabaster belly she has not, hers fades to gray. Her philtrum's cleft is scarce a dent, no shadow does it hold. Velvet rosebud ears on her are spent, the petals half decayed. The curves that hug her frame are angled sharp against her raw bones. Have I disavowed her splendor in this candid exercise? Her splendor surpasses banalities, in history's breast it lies. Her splendor surpasses banalities, in history's breast it lies. 'Tis on the archived trove of troth devotion gives it form. Informally, though it was aroused, the lens of fealty is wise. Revelation is a banal thing, in daily fire it warms. Memory peaks a vivid, tender image I shall sketch. My love's mame distended toward her young as she reclined. My own mame were whetted as my heart to her outstretched, and to my breast I brought her young, and round my heart they twined. Another sketch emerges rather later than the first. Before my eyes, my love leaps limb to limb, her haunches supple. Their every sinew outlined thanks to a torrential cloudburst. Rivulets undulate toward me as I move to couple. My dark eyes against her ears brush as I nuzzle these spent petals. The currency of our love bank nearly spent, it stings like nettles. The currency of our love bank nearly spent, it stings like nettles. Her young, our young, each day stray further, longer from the nest. The minutes fall like stones upon our love hearth. There they fettle. The flames have died to embers. Soon we'll end our time abreast. Is our love impoverished that we spent its every acorn? Is our passion blighted that its flame gives way to smoke? Perhaps 'tis better to question this of death, from whence love's born. A tree's death can ne'er negate its life as mighty oak. And mighty is our love, though we be small and common. Our passion's flame can scarce be stopped, igniting the whole world. With flames of glory, tawny ombre hues of fealty's autumn. The banner of our out of love for all to see unfurled. And yet, such splendor pales when into her dark eyes I rove. How perfect is my darling through softened eyes of love. There was a lot of science in that. Just saying.
It was a science assignment.
Thank you. Suzanne?
So I want to read you a poem that I just wrote 2 weeks ago as a birthday present for a friend of mine. We've been friends since we were 10 years old. And we try to meet at McManaman's for a little meal and drink once a month. And so our birthdays are both in July, hers the 3rd, mine the 9th. And so when we were kids, the 6th was our joint day and we would do something special. And anyway, somehow this came to me that, you know, what do we really need? And I said, what would you like for your birthday? And I've been doing some more writing than usual. I said, what if I wrote you a poem and calligraphed it for you? So that was like the suggestion of the century. And then I got started writing this and it just kind of flowed out of the pen and I don't know, it created some kind of solution, some kind of resolution to an arc to the whole relationship. Do you remember? Do you remember the summer we were 10 and Mama Helen took us the first time to Cannon Beach on the Greyhound bus? An overcast day in damp sand, we built our round fort, a ring of basalt rocks smoothed by millions of years of tumbled surf. One of us glanced over toward Haystack Rock. Look, there, isn't that a fire in the driftwood? We rushed to tell Helen. Authorities alerted, burn contained, everyone impressed by our sense of civic duty. We had been taken seriously. Break in the poem. We were 19 on our next visit, a special time Mom had in mind to renew our acquaintance, pick up a thread, mend a fence. High school, some 13-year-old drama in the way, we had parted. Now beach walking, porch sitting, we approached our tidal rift carefully. Artist Richard Martin lived on Main Street in his handmade, reclaimed driftwood house, stained glass windows, quirky artifacts all around. Mama said, would you like your portraits done in charcoal? An exciting prospect in our kind of place. Everything was different after that. Do you remember? No.
Bob?
So if you would like to know more about me, you can buy my book, and my biography is right here on the flyleaf. Suffice it to say that I had a career as an analytical research chemist, and then spent quite a lot of time drifting around the world, selling analytical instruments, which is why I started writing poetry, because when you travel around the world, you can end up waiting in airports, railway stations, hotels, almost anywhere, and a lot of time. And so I started writing. But I'd like to read 2 things. This is from my wonderful book, of course, The Boston School of Burglary. And it's called Cricket. It's very short. And it's not about the game of cricket. But if you really want to know, I can tell you the rules later. You think I don't see the stars. You think I don't wonder at the sky as I crouch here, unseen. Unseen, but heard. A small chirruping twig of chitin. I am come quickly to this world and leave the same. I have some purpose, which is not to entertain or become a romantic icon of your late summer sentiment. I'm here solely to exist for a brief moment of beauty. I dare you to claim the same. And I discovered this poet, Peter Porter, some years ago. He was born in Brisbane, Australia. And then, like many Australian literary people, drifted via Bali, Kathmandu, the Silk Road, and other places to London, where he stayed until he died. This is, it's an apocalyptic time, as I think Theo alluded to. And this is an apocalyptic poem. And it's called Your Attention, Please. The Polar DEW has just warned that a nuclear rocket strike of at least 1,000 megatons has been launched by the enemy directly at our major cities. This announcement will take 2¼ minutes to make. You, therefore, have a further 8¼ minutes to comply with the shelter requirements published in the Civil Defense Code section Atomic Attack. A specially shortened mass will be broadcast at the end of this announcement. Protestant and Jewish services will begin simultaneously. Select your wavelength immediately according to instructions in the Defense Code. Do not take well-loved pets, including birds, into your shelter. They will consume fresh air. Leave the old and bedridden. You can do nothing for them. Remember to press the ceiling switch when everyone is in the shelter. Set the radiation aerial, turn on the Geiger barometer, turn off your television now, turn off your radio immediately. The services end. At the same time, secure explosion plugs in the ears of each member of your family. Take down your plasma flasks. Give your children the pills marked 1 and 2 in the CD green container, then put them to bed. Do not break the inside airlock seals until the radiation all clear shows. Watch for the cuckoo in your Perspex panel, or your district touring doctor rings your bell. If before this your air becomes exhausted, or if any of your family is critically injured, administer the capsules marked Valley Forge, red pocket in #1 survival kit for painless death. Catholics will have been instructed by their priests what to do in this eventuality. This announcement is ending. Our president has already given orders for massive retaliation. It will be decisive. Some of us may die. Remember, statistically, it is not likely to be you. All flags are flying fully dressed on government buildings. The sun is shining. Death is the least we have to fear. We are all in the hands of God. Whatever happens, by his will. Now, go quickly to your shelters. Yes, rather cynical, isn't it? I'd just like to say I'm going to leave these bookmarks, these Oregon Poetry Association bookmarks, over on the table, so you will know where to go to become a member of the Oregon Poetry Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I'm going to read 2 poems from a collection that I'm working on, and I'm calling it, at this point, the St. Francis poems. So, St. Francis of Assisi is a church in Southeast Portland, and so it was the church I grew up in, and then I was very grateful to be able to come back to it later in life, and then 3 years later, it unfortunately imploded. So I've had a variety of experiences over the years, and I'm trying to capture some of that. So I'm going to read you 2 earlier poems. This one is the organist for Naomi Perard. At evening benediction, the family enters St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church. Glances at Christ the King on the cross in polished marble, towering above the altar, smiling, saintly, ascending, not like a man in the agony of death. You can be like this, he seems to say. Music floats around the wooden pews from a pump organ, brought by train from the east years ago. Naomi, the parish organist, lovely and gracious, bends intently over her keyboard, elegant in her aloneness, creating music underpinning the service. She plays with that simple grace belying the artistry beneath it. Keys depress, foot pedals pump, their magic, the stops coming in orchestrated union to band the music together like a framed Rembrandt. Holy God, we praise thy name, he plays, pure, sweet, a honeyed refrain, as the families lift their voices in thanks and supplication. That's for Naomi Perard, who was the organist at that church. Then everything has certainly changed with neighborhoods like St. Francis is. So back in those days, there was a pastor and 2 assistants. So there were 3 priests at a small parish like this, which now has a full-time priest who lives in another parish, actually. And one of the assistants there was a priest named Father Jackson. So this is a poem about Father Jackson of the sheep. I loved my mother. Her older sister Catherine said she was a compulsive talker. I don't know about that. She didn't seem to me to be always talking. She loved her stories, though. Some, if they struck her fancy, she'd tell again and again. One was about Father Jackson and the sheep. I wouldn't have wanted to be in Father Jackson's shoes, she'd say. My mother liked Father Jackson, but thought he was a bit hot-tempered and rash. Maybe that was the oil of youth that he would outgrow, but she didn't think so. She thought he'd have to be making his way in the world the way he was. At least he had a good pastor at old Father Cregan. But Father Jackson found himself in scrapes regularly. The one that occasioned this story involved a herd of sheep in a Montana highway in Big Sky country, a highway that allowed you to see for miles in any direction. Still, Father Jackson hit a herd of sheep on a road straight as an Apache's arrow. He wasn't hurt, but some sheep were. Then there was the angry rancher with some dead sheep, not to mention the suspicious police officers. How could that have happened? No, she wouldn't have liked to have been in Father Jackson's shoes. After escaping from Montana, meeting the Archbishop to explain himself. Later, one of her friends in the Altar Society told her the meeting started with the Archbishop saying, "Now tell me, Ernie, just how fast were you going?" That was just the beginning. Her friend wasn't sure if the alcohol question came up, but she rather thought it did. It was something to be concerned about, but no one ever talked about these things openly then. No, my mother would say, she definitely would not have liked to have been in Father Jackson's shoes that day. Father Jackson of the sheep. Hope you hear this. Well, now my lovely wife, Jane.
Well, I'm going to read you one Billy Collins poem. This is called Envoy. Go, little book, out of this house and into the world. Carriage made of paper rolling toward town, bearing a single passenger beyond the reach of the jittery pin, and far from the desk and the noisy gooseneck lamp. It's time to decamp, Put on a jacket and venture outside. Time to be regarded by other eyes. Bound to be held in foreign lands. So off you go, infants of the brain, with a way and some bites of fatherly advice. Stay out as late as you'd like. Don't bother to call or write, and talk to as many strangers as you can. And I'm just reading this one poem, and then I'm going to do a little dancey poem, okay? I am a bit of lemon rind on that garbage heap that is mankind. Bittersweet, not good to read, but powerful.
Those are the people that signed up for the open mic. So is there anybody here who has not read a poem, who would like to read a poem? Kristen?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Do you want to read a poem, David? Okay. Our next poet, Kristen Roeder. Let's welcome her.
Let's welcome her.
Let's welcome you.
Thank you.
We should.
Someday I'm gonna be brave enough to sign up first. But Tom lets me join in at the end. You all give me confidence, so I appreciate that. This is called a love poem for spiritualists. The sea shrugs her shoulders. Like kids, we bounce as if the Pacific is our trampoline. No boats, no life vests today. Yesterday and tomorrow are constellations. We chart determinations, detours, and directions that translate to platforms. This life, a sacred braid, summoning eyes, lulling smiles, and liberating minds begin to chant. Let's live by starlight. Our hands will master midnight swells. At the turn of our hands, our palms become maps. I ask you, how does it feel to be found? Thank you.
Thank you. So there are cookies over here. Please help yourself. Could the contest winners stay around for just a minute? We'd like to get some pictures before you all take off. And is there anyone who hasn't read a poem that wants to read a poem? No? Well, I think we're just right about at 8 o'clock. This has been a wonderfully rich evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those of you who logged in on Zoom. So we're really appreciative to have you here. Can we give a hand again to the contest winners? Good. Thank you for being here and reading your work. And thank you all for being here tonight. Where did we take the picture? Over here?